You're listening to the AID Network.
But Charlie Brown, it's Thanksgiving.
What's that got to do with anything?
This what you call a Thanksgiving Day dinner? Did we come across town for this? We're supposed to be served a real Thanksgiving dinner.
Now wait a minute, sir. Did he invite you here to dinner? Or did you invite yourself and us too?
Gee, I never thought of it like that.
Have cooking utensils will travel.
I don't feel bad for myself. I just feel bad because I ruined everyone's Thanksgiving.
I love a challenge, and this sure as heck looks like one. You never had Grandma's sweet potatoes.
This is true.
A cup of butter, a cup of brown sugar, and some marshmallows.
I'm starting to like them already.
And now, for the piece de resistance, pumpkin pie.
Skip the piece of resistance, just give me a piece of pie.
Giving is more than eating, Chuck. You heard what Linus was singing out there. Those early pilgrims were thankful for what had happened to them. And we should be thankful too. We should just be thankful for being together.
Well, howdy, partner. Nah, that doesn't work. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. Yesterday, we were joined by everybody's favorite co-host, David Clock. But on the show today, we have one of our newer old friends, a guy by the name of Kurt Berger III, who first appeared on Adventures in Design in May of this year. I interviewed him in February, face-to-face in Portland. Our friend in common, Colin Frangisetto of Circus Survive, said, "You've got to interview my buddy Alfred." And boy, oh boy, was he right. Because Alf is one of the most amazing guys we've ever had on the show, both in the scope of his talent, but also, and this is the part where he shines unlike anybody else, life experience. Imagine the guy that I'm sitting across from today looks like a young, hip version of the dude, right? If the dude hadn't completely given up yet, hadn't put on the LBs, but was just living in that moment of peace, right? That's who Alf is. So he's an old friend coming back home to the show, and I'll tell you why I picked him. Because everyone loved this guy. The number one comment was, bring him back. And I thought the holidays, Old Friends Come Home Week on AID, what a great time to bring Alfred home to AID. Bring him home to all of us. I went and met up with him at Sony's animation studios in LA, where he was putting together the final touches on a little project known as Spider-Man Into the Spider Verse in theaters everywhere, December 14th, 2018. Now, if you don't know what this project is, it's an animated full-length Spider-Man movie made by the folks over at Sony, and it has the entire Spider-Man universe in one film. It seems like an unbelievable task to put together. Our good friend Alfred is a compositor, which basically means he's working on all the seams, right, to make sure that everything comes together the way it's supposed to. And doesn't it make you feel better about your micro business that's running on a tight deadline when you know that the folks over at Sony are still working on a movie that comes out just next month in time for the holidays? Made me feel good. Made me feel like we're all kind of in it together, right? Like all of us creatives, we just ride right up to that last second and then be like, okay, if time's really up today, give me tomorrow and then I'll be done. That's how we all pull it off. But Kurt Alfred Berger III came on the show, give us more of our good vibes. And, I kind of picked all the dudes this week that have a good Thanksgiving vibe to them, right? Like there's just something about being around close friends, being around family, where they all have their own individual little thing that kind of just sets you off just right. Just right. So hopefully you'll enjoy today's episode. Remember, if you become a member of the Circle of Trust, you get to hear all of today's episode, as well as Kurt Berger, Alfred Berger III, Berger episode that he did earlier this year that's locked away for members in our archive of the Circle of Trust. If you're listening to today free, wherever you're at, whether it's on iTunes or one of the other popular formats, SoundCloud, if you could just do us a favor, give the show a nice rating and review, just pause, take a couple minutes and just say, this is the best podcast. It's been around the longest and it's great. And you should listen here because it's where old friends come to hang out. Creative folks come to hang out and to become family. Just leave a review. And if you leave one over on iTunes, I'm going to go at the end of this month. I'm going to look at all the new reviews that we got in the month of November. I'm going to give away to somebody. They're going to get a choice of one of our Black Friday items, our matte Black Friday items that will be coming out very, very soon. So if you want to get one of those for free, and some of them are very limited, so it'd be the guaranteed way to get your pick of the litter, leave us a positive review. Can I say that? Leave us a review over on iTunes. Take a screenshot. No, you don't need to take a screenshot because I can see them all over there. So at the end of the month, I'll go and use random.org to pick somebody and say, hey, out of all the stuff that went out on Black Friday, what do you want? I'm going to mail it to you as a way of saying thank you for reviewing the show, because it does matter. The reviews make the show rate higher and gets more people aware, and I appreciate that. All right, what do you say we get into part 2 of Old Friends Come Home Week? Our good buddy, Alfred Berger III, over at SONY lot, working on Spider-Man Into the Spider Verse in theaters everywhere, December 14th, 2018. Oh, that's this December. I can't wait to see it. Everything that I saw so far looks amazing, and I'm sure you're going to be there as well. But we know with Alf, we come to hear a bit about the art, but so much more about our place in the universe.
It's a quiet celebration with family and friends. A time for counting blessings, a time to make amends. There's a feeling all around you. You can hold it in your hands and pass it round the table for all to understand. Though tomorrow may take us far away, let's stick together now. Let's find a way somehow to feel Thanksgiving every day.
Welcome to Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. Welcome home, friends.
Oh, eat a piece of pie for me.
Alfred Berger III.
Hello.
Welcome back to Adventures in Design. How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you for asking.
I'm so glad you could make your way back home for the holidays, Alf.
Yes.
So the last time you and I spoke, you were like this fascinating ball of twine, and I could just pull on it. And every time I'd pull on it, I'd just pull on it to get one certain, what was it like living in Hawaii on your own?
Right,
and I'd pull the twine and just boom, 1,000 stories would fall out.
Yes.
So to keep people just as interested and fascinated with you, last time was in my hotel room in Portland, Oregon. Today, I'm visiting you at the SONY studios because you've been living in LA now for the last how many months?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 months, because you're one of the animators on Spider-Man Into the Spider Verse, right?
Yes. I'm not an animator, but yes, I'm on the movie Into the Spider Verse.
Okay, so I got it wrong. You're not an animator. You were doing what?
I'm a compositor, it's called.
Okay.
So I'm the last person to touch the movie, and I work with the directors and make sure their vision is being accomplished, and that there's continuity and the movie looks good. And basically I take everything and put it together and then present it to them.
And that's why a lot of the animators are in Canada.
Yeah.
And only a select crew are here in LA.
Right. Well, the tax incentive is why that is like that.
Right. But you're touching the film at a level to where they want to have you close and not remote.
Yeah, they want you hit it on the head there.
I got it.
And so it's like only people who've been here 10 plus years are here now. And just, they can trust you and they know your work, and they just want the big guns, I guess you could call it, here, just to make sure.
So when you touch the film last,
yes,
are you sort of the hands that ties it all together?
Yeah.
Like you've got this sequence from this crew of people, and you've got this from these guys, and it's even crazier in a film like this because this film literally has 50 different style guides to it, because it's all the different incarnations of Spider-Man dumped into one movie.
Right. I've never been on a film like this.
I don't think a movie like this has ever existed before.
Never existed. It's characters from different universes, and you have to make sure you stay consistent.
Yep.
Lighting setups are different for each one, and the vibe and the feel. And then Marvel has a input, and he should.
A lot of cooks.
I think there's 7 people.
Wow.
7 director, executive people that have a say in the film. But I put it all together and look at this sequence. Does it work with this sequence? And we're figuring it out on the fly. It's not like we have a formula. And even other studios around are like, how are they doing this? How are they figuring this out? How are they achieving this look? And it's not like something we have down. Even now we're going back and like, this isn't our law. This isn't how we do it. And now we have to change things that were done a year ago or more.
If I look at my Apple Watch, first generation, today is November 5th, the day that we're recording. This episode comes out next week. Thank you for being part of Old Home Week, or coming back to AID, Old Friends Week, whatever the fuck I call it. But this movie drops Christmas week?
Yes.
And we're still working on it?
Yes.
That makes me nervous. How does that make you feel?
They all get done,
Yeah.
The only thing that happens is less people get to be nitpicky. There's an urgency,
right?
It's still quality comes out, but there's a certain amount of I need to have a say to justify my job.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So that starts to go out the door, and then more trust is given to me, and people like me.
You find when you're on the timeline, a good team, when they're on a timeline, ego goes out the door. Everybody comes a soldier and a well-oiled, piece of machinery, and it's like, okay, we got to have this done by 8:00 tonight. No ands, ifs, or buts.
Right.
And you really start to grind. And I think sometimes it's when it brings out the best work.
For sure, it always does. Even with, I think anything you do, like even because you do storyboards too, and then you'll be very precious in the beginning, like I want to get those whiskers right and the eyes right and this, and then you look down and you're like, I have 5 hours to do another 100 boards, and it's like, okay, these these are going to be a different level of quality, but the life and the character is there, if not more, the looser, and that you get to go with it.
Well, I break it down this way, is that when you go into the recording studio to record your songs, to record your record, it's like the first time you ever really hear the song. So you spend all this time tracking the drums, and then you get every bass note right, and then the guitarists come in and they play the rhythms, and then they do the leads, and by the time a guy like me, the singer, gets in there, it's like it's all coming together for the first time. But you take that song and you go out on tour with it and you play it every night, it gets easier, it gets faster, and it gets better because it becomes organic.
Right.
So if I'm hearing you right, in the beginning when it's like the storyboards and everything's precious, it's like nobody really knows how to play the song yet. But at this moment, you guys are playing the song, you know the characters, and what's coming out now is a bit of like organic emotion in it because it's got to be played that fast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Did I work through it?
Yeah, you did, and I think I just want to add, this movie I think is different because everybody I've worked with has a passion for it, and that is not the case. I mean, you can see our backdrop here. It's a lot of Sony movies, and I can't say all of them people were wild about working on or felt like they really wanted to give their soul to it, but this one definitely.
Because the subject matter is near and dear to everyone who's working on it. Like, all of these films had to prove themselves, right? Like Hotel Transylvania was nothing until the first movie came out. And then people are like, I understand what it is now. But all of us have been watching Spider-Man, like guys you and our age, we've been watching it since the Electric Company. And so Spider-Man has been a very beloved character in the fabric of pop culture for generations now. So it's not like, I don't know, this Penguin movie, it might work out, it might not. Like, this is Spider-Man. Nobody wants to be the artist that breaks Spider-Man.
Right, for sure. And even in the times we live in, I know for me, Miles, the main character, is the first black Spider-Man, which is getting black backlash and the usual racism and all that stuff. But I was raised by a black grandmother, partially, and she partially raised me, with my parents. And I just dealt with so much stuff that, man, it feels good to see something like this happening, and the times we live in, to see that you see that push of moving backwards to hatred and all that, but it just fuels people to push the other way too.
It sure does.
Progressive, and it's just cool to see. It's coming out at the right time, and it's really cool. It's a really hip, cool movie.
I got beat up pretty bad on how I reviewed Black Panther.
Okay.
And I went and saw it opening night. I purposefully went to a very culturally diverse neighborhood because you can judge a movie.
Brentwood.
Brentwood. I was like, I'm going to go right into the trenches. No, I actually went and saw it in Torrance.
Okay.
And so you can judge a movie by the audience. If people are laughing and they're giggling and they're into the action, you can tell, aside from how you're feeling, what the vibe of the room is. And I said that I thought that Black Panther was a beautiful film. I thought that they'd really done a great job on it, but that it was missing the fun of your average Marvel movie.
Okay.
And I said I didn't think that it was as fun or funny, and it took itself pretty serious, and to me that broke a little bit of it. But I also pointed out that movie wasn't as much for me as it was for the 10-year-old inner city kid that walks into that movie and goes,
I could be that.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I could be one of those guys.
Yes, totally.
And I said, that's who it's made for. So for me, a guy who's going in expecting a movie that feels like a roller coaster, it was a bit serious. But I can understand that I'm not exactly the target demo, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because Ant-Man months later was just as dumb and as wild as I wanted it to be. So I could review it that way, but I think you're right. I think this film you're working on, it has a bigger mission than just being like a roller coaster for 90 minutes.
No, there's something to this. And I just want to say to anybody listening that loves to critique things and shit on things, it's very difficult to make a good movie. So if you see a good movie, there was a bit of magic involved in that. Because with so many people having a say, it can go awry very quickly.
I like to always put my opinion out there because it's my job. If I don't have an opinion, I don't have work.
Totally.
But I always love to admit when somebody I don't like does something really well.
Okay.
Because I think that shows a well-rounded character on my behalf.
Yeah.
I've never enjoyed Jonah Hill.
Oh.
I find his interviews on Stern some of the worst to stomach.
Okay.
That being said, mid-90s is about as perfect as a movie can be.
Okay.
And skateboarding is a very precious source material to me.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people have tried to make films in and around skateboarding, and they always end up making the Toys R Us skateboard. It never feels like the real skate shop. It never feels like a real skateboard.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill in mid-90s, for my opinion, he made about the most perfect movie I've ever seen. And that's from somebody who I'm not really a big fan of.
Uh-huh.
And I think that that's the way you got to look at a film is like, how did it make me feel? What was it? Ignore who made it. Ignore the backstory. Like, how did that 90 minutes make me feel on my seat?
Right.
That's how I think you judge it. What you saw on the screen and leave everything else on the table.
Plus, so much of it is the mood you're in that day. How many times have you seen a movie and you're like, and then you'll see it again and you're like, hey, that wasn't bad. What was up with me that day?
What about movies that you watch on an airplane and you're like, that's the greatest movie ever? If you spent $18 and that was your date night, you might have a different opinion.
Yeah,
but
totally.
to kill time on your way to London, you're like, that was the best 2 hours I ever spent with that. So you just mentioned your grandmother raised you, who was a woman of color.
Yeah.
You were a fascinating character the last time we interviewed you.
Uh-huh.
And when I stopped recording, you just threw this gem out on the table.
Okay.
And I'm like, this guy's got stories for days. When we were done recording the last time, you just casually said, oh yeah, my dad was a wrestler.
Yeah, he was a pro wrestler.
All right, work me through that. Dad's a professional wrestler. At what level was he a wrestler?
He wrestled with all the people I ever looked up to, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Legion of Doom, Mr. Perfect, Jake the Snake, Bam Bam, all those types of people. So he just had a passion for it, and my whole life I was involved with it and being there, and him getting thrown on tables and him cutting and bleeding and doing all that stuff. And the funny thing is my dad's a really awesome guy, and they tried to make him a bad guy all the time, but the people just loved him, so it just never worked out.
That's great.
But
he had that natural charisma.
He definitely did. But beyond all that, what really was amazing to me. He was part of this thing called WFR, which was wrestling fundraisers, and just at hospitals and mental institutions and things like that, wrestling for those kids and meeting and greeting and talking to those kids and seeing.
So is he just the jobber that the big guy would come in and beat up to impress the kids?
No, that they would just do wrestling matches like in their auditorium or something like that. But I can remember one little girl that she had a disease. She kept growing, but her skeleton didn't. Ooh. So her brain grew, but her skull didn't. Ooh. And just seeing, in an early age, seeing somebody go through that, and you think like, oh man, I have this going on, this and that. But this girl, it's like every few months they have to cut her skull and put stuff in. I don't know ever what happened to her, but I couldn't even go in the room and deal with that or look at that. But my dad just visiting people like that all the time and brightening their life,
entertaining them and giving them something else to think about for 20 minutes.
And
wow.
That just feels so good. You get more out of that than most things in life.
Absolutely. That's if people that are really sick, if they serve any purpose in this world, it's an immediate gut check of like, I shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah.
I've been complaining about a bunch of dumb stuff, and that's somebody who has everything to complain about. And a lot of times you'll catch those people like, what am I going to do? Like I'm at a point where it's beyond complaining, and it always it puts you in a weird moment where you're like, I need to cut it out. And, we did this during Halloween every year. I do a series of shows called Creep Week. We roll out the Halloween decorations, and I try to make, creative Halloween content for the listeners. And this year, me and my co-host Billy that I started the podcast with years ago, we did a dystopian, like the final episode. And I didn't tell anybody it was a joke. We came out and we did a joke that was set a year in the future. And I made this timeline of what if the elections tomorrow go wrong, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and it was all things that are just one bad break away from becoming true. Like if we lost the water supply in the Great Lakes, that would probably upset the economy, and if the economy got upset, this would happen, and if a terror attack happened in West Virginia to just white people, that would probably like get the Trump base even more fired up. So it was just this weird thing that the podcast was going away because nobody really had the money to pay for it, and we were in a dystopian universe where things got really bad a year out. And as we were doing it, I didn't realize, Alf, that this would become one of the through lines where I'm like, the last 6 years on Adventures in Design were a blessing just to complain that my boss doesn't understand my artwork.
Oh, yeah.
Or the client sucked. Or the band that I got hired to do gig posters for gave me a short timeline. And as we were doing it, it kind of like took a level of its own, like you were talking about with the Spider-Man movie, how now it's telling its own story of just like, man, the last, 6 years of complaining about our careers. If the shit really hit the fan, what a charmed life it was just to complain that I don't have enough Instagram likes.
Right.
Like there's so many more things that we could all be worried about. So your dad taking that job and performing in front of those kids that have everything in the world to complain about, how could you not drive home that night and be like, I'm doing pretty well in life?
Oh, yeah.
So what was your dad's name?
4x4.
4x4.
And he had the 4x4 claw, which was 4 fingers, the X with the thumbs and this, and he'd latch it on you like that, right up there.
So he'd basically, if you take both of your hands and you hold them up and you almost make the shape of a bird.
Yes.
That was the 4x4 because you got 4 fingers out, and that's the claw he'd put on your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what league or federation did he wrestle in?
He was part of like ECW before it really blew up. Did you ever hear of that?
Yeah.
Sabu and all those kind of guys. So he was in.
Eventually, Vince McMahon would buy that out, right?
Yeah. So he was just rolling around with those guys. It was just an East Coast thing. Just
ECW was real extreme, right?
Yes.
They were the first ones to go hardcore barbed wire and table or ladder matches and all that stuff.
Yeah. I was a child, so I don't have the timeline totally nailed down, but he was part of that and part of other things, and the money wasn't there like it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it would be fairs maybe they would be wrestling at or something like that.
So your dad was working a straight job, Monday through Friday, and this would pop up every Wednesday night or every Saturday, and then he would go become 4x4.
Yeah, well, he'd be training too, in Northeast Philly at a gym, and pretty much every night of the week, and then have shows and things like that.
What was his straight job?
He was union president of the Steelworkers Union, and
and then 4x4 on the weekends.
Yeah.
All right, so walk me through this. You go see your, like every little boy, their dad is Superman.
Yeah.
Or Spider-Man, to stay on brand. So you go see your dad, who's this larger-than-life character to you. You see him in the squared circle. You see people booing and applauding him. What's like the first time you see another grown man whip your dad's ass in front of you? What are you feeling inside? Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying Old Friends Come Home Week. All week long on Adventures in Design, 5 old friends find their way back to Adventures in Design just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. The entire week is sponsored by our friends jackprince.com. You always know, here's where you go, jackprince.com/circle of trust. That's where you'll get the very best deal. And this month, Jack Prince has an amazing deal on their stickers. Stickers 15% off, full color always, all month long over at Jack Prince. Go to jackprince.com/circle of trust to save even more. And did you know that you always get free liner prints? That's right. Put your artwork on the front, on the back, put whatever coupon code or information that you need. If you're looking to make a little extra money around the holidays, tell your clients like, yo, you should get into making stickers because people love stickers. People pick them up. It promotes your business. And with jackprince.com, I can use the back of the sticker to pass out a coupon code or to let people know about a new menu item or a new product or a new service. You're creative. You know how this works. You can put this to good use. I know. I have faith in you. That's why we've come here today, because we're both creative folks. Head over to jackprince.com/circle of trust. Get your sticker order started. And don't forget, if you keep the same size, if you keep the same colors, you can change the design as many times as you want. jackprince.com/circle of trust. Thank you so much for supporting Old Friends Come Home Week. Jack Prince, one of the very oldest friends of AID.
I do remember the first time he got thrown over the top rope onto a table, and the table collapsed, and then they threw like another table onto him or something like that. I don't know. I don't think I had strong emotions or any, because I was just around it, and plus I was fighting all the time too. I was in martial arts, so it wasn't like, I don't know. And even in martial arts, I had to fight. My mom joined, and I had to fight her sometimes. So that was
hold on. See, this is why you're the most fascinating guy I've ever met. You just casually throw it like, yeah, I had to fight my mom.
Yeah.
So you physically sparred.
Yeah, I've hit my mom.
With your mom.
Yeah.
But your mom hit you back, right?
She tried.
And you could block it?
Yeah, well, I was like grand champion of the world, and I was on the junior Olympic team.
Okay. So what? I know there's so many different types of fighting.
This is Taekwondo.
Yeah,
because that was in the Olympics. So it's an actual, like, I think judo's in there too.
You were in the Olympics?
I was an alternate on the team.
Yep.
And I had to move to Colorado at a certain point to train, and I was becoming 16 around that age, and I was just like, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I was like, this isn't
you burnt out?
Yeah, I was burnt out, man. I mean, how many people can you beat up, and then you're just like, there's got to be something more, you know?
The thing that always turned me off about karate was, like, every kid our age, I went and saw the Karate Kid, and I was fascinated with it. But the thing that always bummed me out is like, Alf, you can learn this, but never, ever have to use this. And I was like, why do I want to spend all this time learning something that I'm instructed to never, ever use? Like, be honest with me. I know you've got a dodgy past at times. Have you been able to enact sweet, sweet street justice?
Sweet.
And somebody, like, grabs your girl's ass, or you see somebody, like, pour a milkshake over a handicapped kid's head, and you step over there and go, buddy, you just did it in front of the wrong person.
Well, first off, they never told me not to use it. I mean, we're talking about Philadelphia, and it's just survive.
That's a different sect of martial arts.
And the guy I was with was, I would say, crazy. Like,
was he like a Cobra Kai type?
Would electrocute you with a cattle prod.
Whoa!
Make you run crazy things. He just turned me into a killer, basically.
Wow!
I would fight people and, like, break things on their body, you know, and he would just, if I had a fight coming up, he would just be, I can remember one guy named Romeo, and it was just constant. Romeo's going to kick your ass. Romeo's going to cave your face in. Blah, blah, blah. Just constant.
So this is him getting you in the eye of the tiger for the fight coming up.
Yeah. You know, like hitting me with shit and hard training, you know.
Wow.
It wasn't like it was none of that. But then when I face the guy, I just, you know, annihilate them, and it just doesn't feel good. And it brings me back something an anecdote I was telling somebody this week is they were like, oh, do you ever have nightmares? And it's like, I really don't have nightmares anymore, but when I was a kid, the Wolfman was chasing me once, right?
Yeah.
And I just stopped and I turned around and I was like, let's get it, Wolfman. And I romped him, like I destroyed him. And he turned back into a human, but he was a battered, beaten human at the end.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it was like an analogy for something else was in control of him, maybe the ego or something, like blah, 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 blah. But it gets to a point after you fight so many people, it's like, I don't have to prove myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather not hurt you than hurt you.
So you at this moment in your life, you just turn your head and walk the other way.
Yeah, it's happened many, many times.
There's no reason for me to just whip your ass.
No, and I've seen it, you know, you hit somebody wrong and they hit their head and they die, you know. It's just not worth it at all. For what? To say you're a tougher dude? Or I'll say this to him. I'll just be like, hey man, you're way tougher than me. I don't even want to fight you or nothing like that.
See, that's a real tough guy. That's like a Chuck Norris type that's just willing to be like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah, I just don't care. I got nothing to prove. I mean, I have everything I've ever wanted in my life. I'm not looking for anything to impress anybody or nothing like that. But if somebody it's always been my MO, if like grade school and stuff, if like a nerdy kid was getting picked on, I was just,
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to know if there's ever been a moment in your adult life where you like see that scumbag who's like harassing somebody that's innocent, and you get to just put in street justice. I just want street justice.
I talk to them, but no, I never have to fight. I don't know, maybe
because you're probably just so chill, it probably scares the shit out of them.
It might be that, but I'm just like, you know, like yesterday we were in line and you know, somebody gets in front of us at the grocery store and nobody says anything. They're just being passive aggressive.
Yeah, that's the California way.
And I just go, hey, what are you doing? And then they're like, oh, and they get upset. And I'm like, look, I'm just checking, man. I have to say, stand up. I'm not gonna just let you walk in front of me.
Don't you feel like, okay, so all my California friends that are born and raised here, they won't say anything to anybody about anything.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh. But I'm the guy who's like, hey, you two guys are talking right now and you're not pumping gas. And all of these cars are waiting for you two to move so everybody can pull in and get their gas. Like, take your conversation elsewhere. Like, that happened to me earlier today.
You just reminded me of something that is
Isn't that an East Coast thing, though, to always be like, buddy, move it on. But California,
you want to talk to them. Yeah, let's have a dialogue.
Get it going.
What's happening here? So I pulled up to the gas station the other day. This guy's blocking both pumps. Mm-hmm. I get out my car to talk to him. He peels off. So, like, when I'm getting up to the windows, it's a Tesla. And I'm like, why the fuck are you
why are you even
gas
there?
Station blocking two pumps?
Go home and charge it.
Yeah, is this like a protest you're doing? So there's a situation. Yeah, I get up, I go talk. Just go talk to the people. They appreciate that.
I've tried to explain this to my wife before. My wife, when we lived in New York, she could be mouthy to people in public.
Uh-huh.
And one night I was trying to explain to her on the way back home, I'm like, Beth, let me explain something to you. You've never been in a fight. The first time you get punched in the face, the whole rest of your life is different.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what that feels like. So someone like you that's been trained to fight in the martial arts, how do you, if I just punched you right now as hard as I could, and I know to punch through, I don't stop at your face.
Okay.
I'm pointing for the thing behind your head.
Okay.
So if I just punched you as hard as I could right now, how have you been trained to like shake that off and to move forward?
Well, first you roll with it. If you're gonna punch me, you can punch me, but I'll just go with your punch. And after that, I would probably just take you to the ground and just finish
goddamn
it
right
really
you
quick.
would. You'd fucking kill me, man. But so that's the thing, is to like absorb the punch.
Yeah.
But that's your personality, right? Like you're kind of one with nature. So whatever life gives you, you've learned how to accept it and then to bend back.
Well, there's two options. There's it's a difference to life. Life is pain. You're going to have pain, but the thing you can avoid and change is the suffering. So wanting the things not to be the way they are, or like this not to happen, is where the suffering of life comes from. And you can put that into a fight. You know, it's foolish to go in the fight and be like, I don't want to get hit or this and that. It might happen. You know, you might get knocked out, but you're there and you're present and you're dealing with it, and getting punched isn't really that bad, and it's just like it's a forceful way to be in Zen.
Okay, so if that's the way that you see a street fight and the pain of life, let's give a little bit of advice to people that are at home. You're right now at Sony working on this insanely huge $1 million project that has a crazy deadline.
Yeah.
How do you come in here at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Stay till 12 o'clock at night. How do you get through that workday without every time somebody's like, this sequence, the lighting's off, this needs to be redone, this needs to be edited faster? How do you absorb that feedback and not go, oh, I can't believe Rick from marketing's coming down on me, man?
For real, yeah.
Like, how do you, like, that seems the same way that you would take a punch. A lot of
people have that problem, totally. Well, we're all here to make the movie better, and then they take notes personally, and that's not what it is. It's just like, it's basically revisions to perfection. So you're just like, here's something I notice, here's something that I bump on, here's this, and it's not against you. You'll see people too when they get when I get notes, I say yes, sir, almost like military, because it frustrates me when I hear people like, well, this happened, but see what I did here is they don't care. Like, nobody cares. We're not judging you or whatever. You're already here. You already have the job. Like, let's just correct these things and make it the best project that we can.
So when it comes down from you tonight at like 7 o'clock and you've been here for hours and they're like, hey, this sequence just needs to feel a little bit tighter, a little bit faster. Yes, sir?
Yeah, of course. What else are you going to do?
And so then when you jump into the work, do you literally like look at the written notes and go, okay,
one note at a time? That's all you can do. One frame at a time, one note at a time. And also, I would say, I don't know how people do this job without having a routine or a practice, because every day there's an hour of meditation for me. There is working out, journaling, just doing these things for me that make me stable enough to deal with all this.
So that you have the ability to say, yes, sir?
Yeah.
Interesting. So is your meditation before you come into the office, or do you kind of disappear here a little bit in the middle of the day?
Before I come in the office and then at night. But you do that long enough and you're kind of always meditating.
Are you TM?
No.
No?
I just sit and be and breathe, watch my breath.
So you don't have a mantra or anything like that that
mantras,
you repeat?
No. It's all the same objective that they're doing. They're just trying to break you from your thought patterns of like following the thoughts and going down that hole. But you just start, you do the mantra. It's the same as breath awareness or whatever.
How does a kid that leaves the drug game of Philadelphia to go as far away as possible but stay in America, which is Hawaii, and reinvents himself and is on his own at a young age, which I did, and I did a lot of things wrong. I was just looking for attention anywhere I could get it, and it led me down a lot of wrong paths. How do you find this sense of awareness? Like, was there a person or a moment where things got so dark that you're like, I need to find a different answer? Is that what leads you to this moment?
Yeah, I had, as a young child, let's say younger than 6, I had the realization that I'm going to die, and this will all end, and that nothing is tangible or permanent, but I'm still here. The awareness is still here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got into martial arts at 6, meditation was part of it. So just always been drawn to it, and just almost it makes you believe a little in the reincarnation thing. Like, where did these drives come from? And I didn't choose to have that vision, or there was so many times I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, I'm gonna die. Like, not the thought I'm gonna die, but the visceral realization inside that everything you're holding on to and trying to hold together and be this perfect person is going away, and you can't stop it, and you're not in control.
Do you fear death?
No.
Do you embrace the idea of death?
I just am. I don't.
It just will be one thing.
It just is what it is right now. The rest is just a thought or imaginary or it's just pointless.
What do you think happens when you die?
I've had multiple experiences through meditation and through drugs of my story went away, my body and my whole life, but the onness, the consciousness never goes away. And then you join like a greater consciousness, and you don't remember your life or nothing like that. It's just kind of like, it's what you can have on earth now. It's just a blissful state of being. Like you're just being.
I always feel like I was born in December 8th, 1974.
Okay.
And I don't remember ever missing, oh, Kennedy got assassinated. I wonder what that was like. They put the first man on the moon. I wonder what that was like. There was dinosaurs walking the earth. I wonder what that was like. I just feel like at some point shortly after 74, I started to create my memories. And the entire existence of the earth starts around that moment for me. And I feel like at some point I'll close my eyes and that story will come to an ending. And I feel like just like I never missed, God, I wish I would have been born. Yeah. I'll never miss not being alive. So in my mind,
exactly,
the entire time that my eyes are open and I'm right into this hard drive that's stuck inside my head, that will be my own personal eternity. And I'll never know not being here, one side or the other. Does that jive with what you're going with?
For sure. I mean, can you remember before you were born?
Never.
No, you can't.
And I have no regrets on that.
Yeah, you're not going to worry about after you're dead too. But that's what always gets me when people are like want to leave a legacy or make an impact, or it's like such an egotistical thing. It's like people aren't walking around talking about George Washington every day, and he's way better than you're ever going to be. You know, he's done way more.
Do you think though that you will leave a legacy in that people don't know you as a household name? But all of these projects that you're making, you know, if you die tonight, heaven forbid, on the way home, this film's going to go out. And this film's going to last a long time. Like, people will look at this for a long, long time. And there's a bit of you in there.
I don't feel that way. I feel like people forget films so quickly that, you know, there's things I was very proud of.
What was the first thing you ever went and saw? In the drive-in or at the movie theater?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't know the first movie you saw?
No. I don't even truly care about movies or any of that stuff.
So then why are you a compositor? Like, what puts you inside the story?
Life just put me here, and I just do what life wants to happen.
Because it's something that you're good at? Do you enjoy the challenge of it?
I'm kind of this, you know, people don't like to hear this, but I'm kind of naturally good at whatever I try, but it's just because I'm not in my own way. You know, I can remember a school assignment was learn to juggle tonight. And I don't know if anybody's ever juggled. That's a difficult task.
I'm very good at juggling on the radio. You ready? I'm going to take these three objects right now. All right, here we go. Well, object number 1. Now I work in number 2. Now number 3. And I'm just going to juggle these for the entire rest of this interview. So you go ahead and watch me juggle.
So... yeah, the thing was like, oh, go juggle, you know, and sure, maybe it was difficult or hard, but you just stay there until it happens.
Explain to me the philosophy or the principle of not getting in the way of yourself.
I guess from a young age, you're taught to be anything, you need to achieve something or get something, and if you start seeing through that tomorrow never comes, that hope of becoming whatever that you think is going to complete you. Let's say romantic comedy. They love to sell you this idea that you're going to find some zany girl who completes you and shows you the other side of life. I mean, none of that stuff's not true. That's just not how you are not anything that passes in front of you, like this girl coming. You know, it'll be exciting, then it'll change, and it won't be, and maybe you get divorced or blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it's always just kind of now. So in getting out of your own way, it's just you stop trying to be that person that's trying to achieve or get something or you're not seeking anymore.
See, I am a firm believer in what you're saying because I met my wife by chance. I was living in Toronto. I came back to Buffalo, New York. I didn't know where I wanted to live next. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was a total, like, a hard restart of my life. And I met Beth. And I said, oh, maybe I'm going to stay here and see where this relationship goes. And I'd always been like a wild, crazy dater. And, date a bunch of girls at once, and eventually they all fall off, and the one that's left, that's the one you date for a while.
Sounds right.
But she resents you the whole time because she knows what it was like to be a part of Mark Madness and be one of the pile of girls you were dating. But with Beth, I'm like, I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to be completely loyal to her, even though I don't owe her any loyalty. And it absolutely worked out. And we've now been together for 18 years. So one would say that I ended up in Buffalo at the right time to meet this one person that was special for me. And that's how it all came together. And to them, I would say, there was a perfect person for me in Buffalo, but there probably was if I lived in Indianapolis too.
For sure.
Or if I lived in Kansas City, Missouri. Like, we were two clusters of energy that met, that were at the same amount of magnetic attraction at that time, and we have now fused ourselves together. And we go through the challenges of the world together. That's how that works. It wasn't like God put this one person for you, and all you had to do was go to Buffalo, New York, and meet her.
But everybody buys into that whole thing of like your destiny's laid out, and there's a certain path you need to follow.
Because that makes you innocent of all the right and wrong things that you do.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's why people buy into it?
I think they're just, again, I think it's ego and just trying to find a meaning to this crazy life. And
to whatever puzzle you've laid out in front of you.
Yeah, you're never going to, guys out there, girls, you're never going to figure this life out. It's a mystery. Nobody's going to figure it out.
There's always I get hung up on weird things that make me go, okay, let's pretend that heaven is real.
Yeah.
And it's a great idea. It's a fantastic concept. But if heaven is real, think about how many stray dogs are running around heaven right now. Like, I'm personally responsible for 4 dogs that are up in heaven.
Yeah.
And what is Baxter and Soda and Derby? Like, what are they doing right now? Like, whose lawn are they in? Like, what are they getting into? Or do my poor 4 dogs have to sit in like a kennel and wait for me to die to come like spring them out? Or are they fostered with somebody else, and then I'm going to take these fucking awesome dogs from them? Like, where are those dogs right now, Alf? How does that work?
Well, I mean, all the ants up there too.
Yes.
Is everything up there? It's just a human construct to give meaning to your life and try to figure this all out. I mean, it's the way it's a rabbit hole of thoughts is all it is. It's the way the mind keeps you in control, keeps in control of your life. Of like, you need to figure this. You need to figure heaven out. You need to figure this out.
So what's the point of working on this $1 million movie?
There's no point to anything. But I'm here, and I give everything my all, whatever I do.
Do you enjoy the work that you do?
I love it.
To you, is it making a movie, or is every scene that gets put in from you solving an individual puzzle?
I would say that. I love puzzles. Just the other day, that somebody brought in 10 mind puzzle things, and I could just see, like, that's what I like. It's problem solving.
What kind of media do you consume? Do you play video games?
No.
Do you listen to music?
Oh, music's my thing, yes.
Do you watch movies?
No.
Do you watch TV?
No.
So just music.
I've seen Rick and Morty, though. Like, people always like try to catch me up on, like, trick me up with a cartoon. But I mean, I've seen stuff, but no. You can ask my wife. I don't watch any of that stuff. I draw, meditate, and listen to music. Make music more than anything too.
What kind of music do you enjoy?
Man, I'm just wild about Big Red Machine right now. I think everybody should go check that out. It's the guy from the National and Justin from Bon Iver, and it's just so progressive and syncopated and different and raw. And they used a new web platform called People, PEOPLE.com, and it's just a way to collaborate on the internet. Colin Francisetto,
shout out, hooked us up.
He gave me, he turned me on to that band, and I would say I've listened to it every day since he's shown it to me. But it just inspires me, and also Future, the rapper, really inspires me too. He's doing the same kind of thing. Just, people make their own lane, make something different, and do it well.
I've said this like 1,000 times on the show, so apologies to my regular listeners, but people are like, "There's no innovation in music." It just means you're not listening to new music.
Yeah, there's some great.
There's always innovation happening in the arts.
Like that Chance the Rapper, that album he came out with 3 or whatever. I mean, how can you not listen to that and think there's not innovation there?
I'll tell you why I couldn't listen to it. I don't like the way that he wears crew neck sweaters all the time. He always wears like
I don't even know what that is.
He always wears jeans that are too light, and then he wears like really like constricting crew neck sweaters, and he looks uncomfortable to me. So I saw him on SNL, and I'm like, nah, this isn't for me.
Jeez, man.
Once again, keep in mind, I have to have dumb opinions to keep a job.
Yeah.
So this film that you're working on,
yes.
At what moment do you start to think about what gig is next?
I have a strong. I'm always thinking about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I could see you being like, the next job will come to me when it is ready to show
visual
itself.
effects wise, yes, but there's just been such a strong passion for storyboarding and directing that's just. I'm in class right now.
Really?
Yeah. During this. During
this, you're
70
taking
hours,
classes.
I just storyboarded a whole thing during this at night.
Really?
And then right before that, I'm always challenged myself. Before this, I did a Bold 30 challenge that you would probably love to hear about. Every day I did something new and awkward that would be handed down to me. So,
from who?
From this guy on the internet. He just came up with this cool thing of like, each thing will take you out of your comfort zone.
Oh, I love getting out of my comfort zone. Tell me about this.
So day one was, I called 5 businesses and said, hey, I'm looking to see a movie tonight, and I'm wondering if you've seen anything recently you could recommend to me. I'm calling Trader Joe's, I'm calling a law office, like I'm just calling whoever, and it had to be nearby. It had to be somebody like, immediate in this area that would scare the crap out of me. That was just day one, and there was 30, and they just got harder and harder and harder.
See, this is the thing that I've learned about social constructs, because I'm somebody, like, I say that I hate performance art, but I'm fucking probably pretty close to being one of those whack jobs, is that we're all behaving based on this honor system. But if you get in there and you mess with the social accountability and constructs, it is amazing what you can get away with.
You can do whatever you want.
That nobody will even blink an eye at.
I can remember going to a Blink-182 concert, and my friend is that kind of person, and he's like, just walk up, just act like you're supposed to be here, and we just, you just walk right in.
Oh, I've gotten so far in life of just, I always thought about, when you're on tour and it's your band that's playing, there's a way that you walk into the backstage. Put that same walk on right now.
Here.
Boom.
Yeah.
And you could just walk right in.
And
I stopped today at the SONY Shack on the honor system.
Yeah.
I was just cruising
right
in.
Yeah. And a walkie-talkie will get you anywhere in life.
Yes. It is the most powerful non-weapon tool. Alfred, you speak my language. I went to a thrift store, and they had like a police grade walkie-talkie that was broken, and I bought it for like $2. And my friends go, what are you gonna do with that? I'm like, you'll see. And I would walk up to a large group of people and be like, you guys got to move on, you got to go over the other side of the street. And I'd move them over there, and then I'd walk over and be like, actually you need to move down the street. If you have a walkie-talkie in your hand and posture and you make eye contact, most people in this world are afraid to look in people's eyes when they talk to them.
Yes, they are.
And that's a huge thing to be able to do in this world. So for 30 days you did something that got you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Is this 30 days finished?
It is.
What was the most uncomfortable for you to do?
A lot. I can give you a lot of them. Walk up to strangers, 5 strangers, and just be like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I won't do it again, but what are we up to today? What are we going to go do? So the first one, I cheated a little bit. I went to the SONY lot over there.
Yeah.
And I had the feeling like it's kind of like being at the airport, If you see somebody in the airport, they bought a ticket, they're probably not that super crazy or anything. So I went over the lot.
Right, because if they're working for SONY or they're in the lot.
Yeah, you have to show your badge. You're supposed to be there.
There's a certain level of people here that were around.
Yeah. So I walk up to this girl. She's on her phone. And I'm like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. What are we up to? What should we go do or whatever? And she's like, oh, it's okay. You're not that late. She was actually waiting for somebody that she didn't know. So I was just flabbergasted. In just probably 20 seconds, I just stared at her and I was like, I was waiting for you. You're a creep. I don't know you. Get away from me.
Pepper spray.
None of that. She just went with it, and that made me gun shy for the next 4 of them. It took me a few days to knock them out, but try it. Try walking up to somebody and just act like you know them. And if you're a guy, make it a pretty girl. That was another thing. It was gender specific. So a lot of these things were like, I stop a pretty girl that's on her phone, make her get off her phone so I can ask directions. There's difficult things.
That is, who's the guy? Give him a shout out.
Oh, I can't. I don't.
You don't remember?
Bold30.com.
Bold30.com.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds
Try
crazy.
it out. It's fun.
Alfred, what is your relationship with money?
Money.
Do you Do you save it? Do you invest it? Do you care about it? Do you just see it as a fleeting thing to get you to the next moment? Like, I couldn't get a read on how you care about money.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Hey there, friends. I hope you're enjoying today's episode with Alfred Berger III. I find all this stuff talking about Spider-Man to be absolutely fascinating. Like, how the hell do they put this thing together, right? Like, it's just mind-blowing that somebody came with the idea of, we own this Spider-Man thing. What if we put it all in one film? I mean, think about it. It's kind of the animated version of the Avengers, right? Where all the different characters come into one film and blow us away. I mean, Hollywood's got to watch out. They're giving us so much that our expectations are going to be through the roof. Like, how's it going to be to watch a single superhero movie after we get used to these big ensemble films? Coming up in part 2 today, not only do you have 20 more minutes of content available for listeners of the AID and supporters of, most important part, supporters of the Circle of Trust over at AID.network. If you sign up, you also get access to the first episode that we did back in May, AID 767. But in part 2 today, I asked Alfred, because he knows all the answers of the universe, when is the proper time to spend a gift card? What systems do you have for getting stuff done? More importantly, the stuff that you don't want to do. How do we figure out our gratefulness? And what is his greatest secret for success? And this is one that I've often wondered about, and he knows the answer. I try not to be too nice when I do business with people, because when you're nice, you will get exploited on your niceness. People will take advantage of you. But Alfred has a very interesting concept on how to handle people who exploit your kindness. All of this and so much more is coming up in part 2 of today's episode of Adventures in Design. And I would really encourage you, sign up at AID.network, become a member of the Circle of Trust. And not only do you get the bonus content, but you get the pride of knowing that you support the show and that you're putting money into it to make sure that it comes here every Monday through Friday. Better the show does, the better the guests get, the more we can get into, the further we can go, the better stories we can bring you. So not only is it a tax write-off if you're looking to burn some end of the money year, but it is an investment in the programming to make sure that the programming you're hearing is the absolute very best it can be. Okay, you caught me. What I'm saying is the more you pay, less Sean Mort, the more other people. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Just joking. Sean, we miss you and we love you, and we're sorry that you got kicked out of America. What do you say we get back into part 2? It's Alfred Berger III, his second appearance on Adventures in Design.
Life's a game, but you might as well get a high score.
And money is that high score?
Yeah, why not?
Dude, we have so many of the same philosophies. I said that 1,000 times, that money at a certain point, once you have food and shelter and you have a little bit of security, money evolves into high score in life.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I'm lucky because I grew up so poor, where to people maybe that wouldn't appreciate it, you know, the money wouldn't be that for them, but I can go right back. I mean, I know what it's like, so I always am ready to make more. Did
growing up poor make you materialistic? Because it did me.
It did you?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It maybe not material, because I really don't have to. You know what? I enjoy getting rid of things. That makes me feel good. Like, I like buying shit, and I like having nice things. But there's a burden that comes. Like, if you went into my office right now, there's always, what I do is I'll start putting things in a pile. And it's things in a pile that I don't know where they go, but I don't want to get rid of them. And eventually the pile goes into a box. And then the box just gets like, I'm a really good Tetris guy. So the box is like, well, there's room underneath the futon to put a box under there. I throw it away.
I need to do that. I need to start throwing it away.
Just be you, man.
I know, but I don't
think you need to do anything.
I don't know where the shit goes. And then it becomes a burden. And then I just want it out. And then eventually this box I've been taking care of, one day I'm like, just gone. And I know that inside that box is like all kinds of like crazy jewels and gems, but at some moment it's easier to get rid of it. Like, I went through my desk last night. I think I might have found like $500 in like Starbucks gift cards.
Whoa.
That I'm like, I have money today. So to spend a gift card is dumb because I have money.
Yeah.
I'll hold on to this for when I need it. So like last night, I'd been given a $500 Southwest Airlines card, And I also was given a $75 Southwest gift card. And so I was going through this drawer where I knew these gift cards were because I wanted to buy some flights. And I just kept going through all these gift cards. I'm like, it's insane how much money I have in gift cards. But I feel like those are for a day when I have no money. So I just hold on to them like this weird pack rat. But I don't know when the appropriate time to use the gift card is because technically there's money there.
You're in a world of hell, man. Jesus. That's just the gift card.
Yeah, like I feel, I don't know when, like to me, I feel a burden in everything that I do. So the way to find peace is to find a system. Okay. Right? So a system is, I'm going to go work for an hour. And then at the end of that hour, I'll walk around the house and like clean up the house for like 10 minutes. And then I'll look at 5 minutes of email. Then I'll make a new plan. And so I always do like, I have 3 things that I'm doing. And then after that, I reevaluate and make a new plan. But that's how I find peace on what I should do next.
Whoa. I just look at what I don't want to do and I just get out of my way and then do that.
So you do the thing that you hate
today.
You're like, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to do it and get it done.
Yeah, I ran this morning. Believe me, I don't want to run at 5 a.m. ever.
The interesting thing about running, because I run too, is that when you start running, everything in your body is going, let's stop fucking running.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go so far that the body's like, all right, this is kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Like, we're on beat with this fucking Blink-182 song and the world's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But there's this initial thing in you. It's like, stop running, dummy.
Yeah. Well, that's the best voice to look at and give attention to, because who's that voice looking out for? It's what I thought this morning. It's like, okay, does running hurt me? No, it doesn't. You know, it only does good things for me. So why does this voice not want me to do something that's good for me?
In the spirit of Thanksgiving, we're sitting in the middle of the SONY animation campus.
Yes.
Do you know how many people that are listening to today, their dream would be to land a job?
I know.
Storyboarding, animating, compositing, like just to be inside this campus.
Yeah.
Like, for a guy from Philadelphia and a dude from Kentucky to be sitting in this bizarre courtyard where there's just this beautiful mural around us, which is all of the, like, what? This is probably the last 8 years or 6 years of SONY animation.
Open season was a long time ago, for sure. Yeah. It's definitely some of their biggest projects.
So we're just like sitting right here where dreams become a real thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
How often do you kind of pinch yourself and go, I've come pretty far from a kid from the ghetto in Philly? Thank you for listening to Adventures in Design podcast. To hear part 2 of today's episode, visit adventuresin.design. Click where it says Circle of Trust and help support the only daily talk show designed for creative professionals just like you. Thank you for listening. Good day and good design.